Two men got off the same plane in Tampa in 1987, one from Honduras, one from Mexico. Both walked into the same kitchen on Hillsborough Avenue. Both took the same first job washing dishes for $2 an hour. 30 years later, only one of them is still washing dishes. Manuel Aguilar, the Honduran, still works the back of that same restaurant for $14 an hour. Andres Cardenas, the Mexican, owns four restaurants on the same Hillsborough corridor and paid cash for his mother's house in Guadalajara in 2019. Same plane, same year, same first kitchen, same skill. The country only got them off the plane. La mano que escribió el cheque grande no era más fuerte, era más decidida. But here's where it gets sharp. What separated their lives was a sentence. One of them wrote it down in 1987. The other said it out loud at his abuela's table every Sunday for 30 years and never wrote it down. This is a video about that sentence, about the book that taught one of them to write it. By the end of the next 14 minutes, you are going to know which of these two men you currently are and what to do about it before Friday. The book is called Think and Grow Rich. The author is Napoleon Hill. He published it in 1937, in the middle of the Great Depression, when nobody in this country had money and everybody needed a system that did not require capital, education, or connections. Hill spent 25 years interviewing 500 of the richest operators of his era: Carnegie, Edison, Ford. He kept finding the same pattern. The winners did not have higher IQs or richer parents. They had a specific way of treating their own minds, and they had it before they had the money. The book sold 100 million copies because the system depends on the operator, not the year. That is why it worked for a steel worker in Pittsburgh in 1937, and why it works for a Latino dishwasher in Tampa in 2026. My abuelo had a line: Mijo, lo que se piensa todos los días se vuelve la vida. What you think every single day becomes your life. He never read Hill. He never went past sixth grade. But he was saying the exact same thing Hill spent 25 years documenting. The richest men in America were proving the line my abuelo learned in a village outside Monterrey. The whole rest of this video is going to prove him right. So watch what happens next. Hill opens the book with a line that should be tattooed on every Latino operator in this country. He writes that desire is the starting point of all wealth, then says something most readers skim past. Desire is not hope, and it is not a wish. A wish is the version of wanting that does not survive contact with Monday morning. A definite desire is the version that does. Because here's the thing, Hill is being literal, not poetic. Manuel said the wish version every Sunday for 30 years. Quiero salir adelante, I want to get ahead. He said it to his abuela, his wife, his son, the priest. But Hill's argument is that the subconscious mind, the part of you that actually steers your week, does not act on vague nouns. It acts on specific verbs attached to specific dates. Quiero salir adelante is a noun on a Sunday. It does not reach the part of the brain that picks up your phone at 6:15 on a Tuesday morning. So watch what happens with the cousin who wrote his version down. Andres wrote a sentence on an index card in October of 1987. By January 1st, 1992, I will own one restaurant on Hillsborough Avenue, paid for in cash, by saving $40 a week from my dishwashing wages and working 2 extra Saturday catering shifts every month. He folded the card into his wallet. He read it before sleep and again before his shift. Hill calls this the 6-step formula. 1. The exact dollar amount. 2. The exact date. 3. The exact thing you intend to give in return. 4. A definite plan in one paragraph, started whether you feel ready or not. 5. Read the card aloud twice every day, once before sleep, once before work. 6. As you read it, see yourself already in possession of the money. Now here's the part most operators miss. The tactic, concrete, that you do tomorrow morning. One index card, the 6 pieces. Carry it in your wallet. Read it twice today, twice tomorrow, twice every day for 30 days. Here is what you measure. Read count this week. 14 reads, 7 days, 2 per day. Count them. After 30 days, write down one specific decision you made differently than the version of you who never wrote the card. 1. That is the proof the card is doing the work. By November of 1991, Andres had $52,400 in a savings account at a credit union on Dale Mabry. Hill said by January 1st, 1992, he hit it 6 weeks early. By November of 1991, Manuel had $1,800 in a checking account that paid no interest and a wish he was still saying out loud at his abuela's table every Sunday. But here's where it gets ugly. The gap kept compounding for the next 30 years. Same plane, same year, same kitchen, different sentence written down. That is move 1. And here's where it gets sharper. Hill puts move 2 in chapter 5. He frames it with a hunting metaphor. When a man goes hunting for game, he selects hunting grounds where the game is plentiful. When a man seeks riches, the same rule applies. You do not solve a wealth problem by working harder on a hunting ground where the game is scarce. You solve it by relocating professionally to a hunting ground where the game is plentiful. This is where Manuel got stuck for 30 years. Manuel learned to wash dishes faster every year. By year 10, he could empty a 60-rack station in under 9 minutes. He had become extraordinarily good at general labor in a hunting ground where the game was always going to be scarce. But here's where it gets sharp. The man across the kitchen from him was looking at the same restaurant and seeing a completely different map. Andres noticed something different in his second year. The catering side of that same restaurant earned roughly 3 times what the kitchen earned per labor hour. A wedding plate sold for $42. A dishwashing hour paid $2. The hunting ground was 20 feet away on the other side of a swinging door. So he went hunting in the room where the game was plentiful. Hill calls move to specialized knowledge. The distinction is hard. General knowledge is what you get in school. Specialized knowledge is what you go acquire on purpose because it pays more in the specific market you are hunting. Because here's the thing, the school version is what every generalist already has, which is why the bottom rung of every ladder is overcrowded. Andres went and got the Florida Department of Business and Professional Regulation food service license in his own name in 1989. He learned the contract language that protects a caterer when a wedding falls through. He learned the Spanish language Yelp tactics that did not exist yet for any other caterer in the corridor. The ladder to dishwashing supervisor was crowded. The ladder to bilingual licensed Latino caterer with a Florida license number in his own name had 2 people on it in the entire Tampa Bay region. Hill's exact line is that the ladder of success is never crowded at the top because the people who could be standing up there are still on the bottom rungs trying to be the best generalist. Here is the tactic, concrete, that you run this Sunday. 2 Google searches. Search 1, your skill, plus the word license, plus Florida, plus your county. Find the one specialty license that the generalists in your trade refuse to get because it costs $300 in a Saturday class. Search 2, your trade, plus Spanish speaking, plus your county. Find the underserved corner of your existing market that nobody bilingual is currently serving. Pick exactly one. Do exactly one before next Sunday. Here's what you measure. By Friday, you know the cost, the class hours, and the renewal cycle of that one specialty license. You write the dollar number on the same index card from Move 1. The card now carries your definite desire and your specialized knowledge in the same square inch. Mateo, a Ford-truck concrete operator out of St. Petersburg, ran Search 1 in 2024. He found a 16-hour decorative concrete finishing certification, $340, one Saturday class. His average ticket 6 months later went from $2,800 to $7,200. The skill on the truck did not change. The hunting ground did. That is move 2. And here's where it gets uncomfortable. You think Manuel stayed at that sink because he was lazy or unlucky or less smart than Andres. None of those are the answer. Pause on this. Because here's the thing. The next sentence is the whole video. Manuel stayed at that sink because the sink was protecting somebody. It just was not him. Every 2 weeks for 30 years, Manuel wired $300 to his mother in Honduras. The dishwashing wage was the source of those wires. The wage was small enough that the dollars went further at home. The job was steady enough that the wires never missed. If Manuel had quit the sink to go hunt the catering corridor, the wires might have stopped for 4 months while he learned the new ground. His mother could not afford 4 months. So Manuel stayed at the sink because the sink protected his mother. That was real. The threat was real. The math was real in 1987, but it is not 1987 anymore. Hill writes a sentence in chapter 12 that you are going to want on the back of the index card. Every adversity, every failure, and every heartache carries with it the seed of an equivalent or a greater benefit. Manuel and Andres both lived through the 2008 housing crash. Both of their kitchens closed. Manuel treated the closure as proof that he had been right to never start his own thing. He went back to dishwashing the day the restaurant reopened, and he never looked up again. Andres treated the closure as a question. Two of his canceled wedding clients had asked in passing whether he could deliver hot family meals to their houses while their relatives were in town. He had 3 months of forced downtime and a question. He spent those 3 months building a comida casera delivery route across Carrollwood and Westchase. By the time the catering side reopened, the route was already producing weekly revenue. By 2012, it earned more than the original catering business. By 2019, it paid for his mother's house in Guadalajara in cash. The adversity was identical. The seed was sitting in both. Manuel refused to look for it because the limit was already in his mind. Hill's exact line is that there are no limitations to the mind except the ones we acknowledge. Manuel acknowledged a limit the housing crash had not actually placed on him. He placed it on himself. But here's where it gets sharper. Both versions of Manuel had the same data. Now, here's the part the rest of YouTube skips. The story is not about the difference between Manuel and Andres. The story is about the difference between the Manuel of 1987 and the Manuel of 1992. Both versions had the same index card available. Both versions had the same catering corridor available. Both versions had the same Florida license available. You are not stuck being Manuel. You are one card and one license and one named seed away from being Andres, no matter what year it currently is. Here is the tactic, concrete, that you do by Friday. Pick the worst thing that happened to you in the last 18 months: the layoff, the lost client, the medical bill, the deportation scare. Write it down on a single line. Then write a second line beside it that names the seed. The seed is not a positive thinking reframe. The seed is a literal answer. What specific opportunity, what specific lesson, what specific relationship did this adversity make available that was not available before? If you cannot find one, the seed is still there. You have not looked yet. Here is what you measure. By Friday, one adversity, one named seed, written on the back of the same index card from moves 1 and 2. That is move 3. And here is what it looked like in real life. Mateo, the concrete operator, lost 3 months in March of 2020. He used the downtime to start a Spanish language Instagram presence for the crew. By 2022, 60% of his inbound leads were coming from that account. The pandemic carried the seed. The pandemic was the seed. Your version of this seed is sitting in the last 18 months of your life, waiting for you to write the sentence. So here is what you walked away with: 3 moves. The Hill 6 step on a card by tomorrow morning. The specialty license search this Sunday. The name seed by Friday. You install all 3 this week. Your nervous system starts running on the new instructions inside 30 days. Your hunting ground changes inside 90, and your math compounds from there. That is the lesson. That is the video. But wait, now here's the part Hill buries in the last chapter. The card is not the magic. The license is not the magic. The seed sentence is not the magic. The card is the receipt that you took your own desire seriously enough to write it down on a piece of paper. Most Latinos in this country have never written it down because nobody in their family ever told them their desire was allowed to take up paper. Hill's whole 1937 book exists because somebody had to give a steel worker permission to want something specific. The book sold 100 million copies because nobody had ever given that permission before. Manuel's mother is still in Honduras. The wires still arrive every 2 weeks. They still total $300. Andres' mother is in a paid-for house in Guadalajara. The wires stopped in 2019 because the house ended the need for them. The country only got you off the plane. The card is what builds the life that comes after. Pick one of the three moves. Start it before Monday. Write the sentence by Friday. The next index card you read aloud is the one your mother will eventually feel. If this video helped you out, hit the like button and subscribe so the next one finds you. Click that notification bell. That's how you catch every new Gordo Worldwide video the day it drops. And if you want to keep building, watch this one next. This is Gordo. Apply one thing this week. We'll be back next week.